Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Dr. Robert L. Screen, Sr. I will be your host for this evening, and I want to thank each and every one of you for attending this affair. This is a very important moment for not only the 210 Traffic Safety Committee, not only for the delegates who have been a part of the bill creation, but also for everyone in this community. 210, our life, our community. And that's what it is. It's a life-bred road, main street, I guess you can call it, as some do. It's a 14-mile state span of roadway here in Prince George's County, bordered by the District of Columbia on one side, by Charles County on the other side. 14 miles of roadway. That 14 miles of roadway, unfortunately, in the last 16 years, it's taken the lives of 91 people. That 14-mile span of roadway last year took the lives of 10 people. That 14-mile span of roadway still holds, I believe, the highest fatality rate for a single accident in the state of Maryland, and that was 8 people back in February of 2008. 8 people killed, 3 injured. That 14-mile span of runway, or roadway, in the year 2017, AAA designated this highway as the roadway of death. I wonder why. The last 3 months of data collection, for those of you who know that we have 3 cameras, 3 speed cameras that are active and operating. And from the time period of August of this year to October of this year, the speed cameras collected some very dramatic information. You see, when they collect the speed infractions, there's an infraction speed or recording, and then there's the citation area. And I like to dwell on the first number because it really gives the character of what this roadway is really doing. So between August 1 of this year to October 31st of this year, 11,786 people were caught going over the 11-mile-per-hour threshold or buffer on this roadway, 11,786. That were people who were going 67 miles per hour and above. That same time period, there were 204 people that were going over 100 miles per hour as recorded. That same time period, these cameras are able to record the high speeds for each camera, each of the 3 cameras, for a 30-day period for the collective number of the 3 months period. Believe it or not, this roadway, this highway, has a average mean speed of high speeds of 150 miles per hour. 150 miles per hour. 30 years ago, I used to fly quite a bit in the air routes above us. In a plane that was averaged about 200 miles per hour. When you're a part of the ATC system in flight, you get an air route to go from one place to another. But I'm in the vicinity of other commercial airlines that most of you taking that are going 600 plus miles per hour. But because of the extreme speed that you're going at flight levels, they give you a 5-mile-per-hour buffer completely around you, to your right, to your left, in front of you, behind you. 1,000-foot elevation difference between what's either above you or below you. 5 miles they give you. On this road, Indiana Highway, we've had people go over 170 miles per hour. And what's separating between 2 lanes is a 6-inch hash mark. That's ought to register with some people. I hope it registers with most of you. Because what it spells out is that we have a dangerous situation. We are here today because we are trying to make a deterrent factor in behavior by way of the speed cameras. We understand that the $40 static fee has not done the job that we thought. So we're looking to change the structure of the camera in terms of deterrent value of fines. And as you'll see shortly, a structure that will hopefully be a deterrent factor for those who are egregious in their speeding, for those who are on the borderline of just sometimes drifting over faster speeds than what they want. But either way, we want the fines to be a deterrent towards behavior, not to collect money on the side, because as a matter of fact, the revenue that is collected from the fines go into a road improvement fund for this highway. So let's just get that straight for those who think otherwise. So today, we're going to be talking about a legislative bill that I want you to remember, MD 306-24. That is the bill that you're going to hear about shortly for hopefully the dramatic change of the structure of the fines on these cameras to be a deterrent factor for behavior. I'm going to introduce to you now someone who's going to go over in more detailed fashion. As you see, the boards on the side here to my right, to your left, to give you an idea of some more specifics of why we are here today, why we need this bill passed, and why we need you to support it. I want to introduce to you Mr. Ron Weiss, who is a part of the 210 Traffic Safety Committee. Ron is more of our technician and a person who deals with the figures. So Ron, I'll give it to you and let you explain to our audience some of the details at the signs over here, or the posters, that you can explain the things a little bit more in detail. Ron Weiss.
Thank you, Reverend Screen. I have some handouts that basically show the same thing that's on those posters, but I must admit that I made a mistake. There's no February 31st. If you have a handout, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, it was a late night. Reverend Screen's mentioned some of the details. I just want to add a few, emphasize a few points. I'm honored to be in this group of people up front. I'm humbled to be up here with them. I want to point out that our county executive, Angela Brooks, Delegate Chris Valderrama, and Calvin Hawkins, Jamel is standing in. Oh, there's Calvin, sorry. They were here, they were with us at a press conference that our county executive held on January 4th, 2019. January 4th, 2019. That was shortly after the three major children were killed in a tragic accident just north of the Livingston-Kirby Hill now interchange. And I just want to echo some of the remarks that our county executive made at that time. And she said, waking up in 2019 for these parents without their babies is an unspeakable reality, is an understatement. We were grieving not only the loss of these babies, but we have had way too many similar losses on Route 210. There have been so many grieving families, many of whom, Ms. Alsobrooks, whom I've interacted with after a tragic accident that has happened on this very road. I believe we need to come together to make sure that no other baby or parent or family member loses their lives on this road. And toward the end of her remarks, she said, "No amount of enforcement will matter unless the community accepts its responsibility as well. We have to change the behavior of motorists who travel on this road." And that's what this meeting is all about. That's why we have fought for years to get speed cameras on 210, and while we're continuing to fight to get to make the speed cameras more effective. There's a chart over there with the red lines on it. And I want to point out that Prince George's County is the leftmost red bar on that chart. And it's that bar, that chart's a little out of date. We're now at 129 fatalities in Prince George's County on our roads. And 22% of all Maryland road fatalities happened in Prince George's County. 76 of the county's fatal crashes were on state roads, State roads and county roads represent each about 50% of the roads in Prince George's County. But the state 50% has 76% of the fatal crashes. And to put those numbers in perspective, while we have 129 road fatalities in Prince George's County so far this year there have been 95 murders. So more people are dying on our roads than by murder. So. There's another slide that says speeders must be held accountable. And that's pointing out that we're not trying to catch people, we're trying to deter people from speeding. The history of speed cameras show that over time, people learn to slow down and they don't get and the number of citations issued because of the speed cameras decreases dramatically. And so that's the purpose. The purpose is to get zero fines from the speed cameras because everybody's obeying the speed limit, okay? And the other point I want to make is that speed cameras are blind to who you are, what you look like, where you're coming from, where you live. They're an equal opportunity enforcer. Okay. From April to October 2023, Reverend Screens mentioned this, I guess, already. 434 vehicles were clocked at over 100 miles per hour on 210. And we've heard that 150 mile an hour or more is not unusual. So you can imagine what it's like traveling at 55 and having somebody go 3 times faster than you going by. You know? So the other thing we've learned from the speed cameras are that people who speed often speed repeatedly. As a matter of fact, 1/3 of the citations issued by the speed cameras are repeat speeders. And the top repeat offender of the speed camera citations has 59 citations. He's blown by those cameras 59 times. The second one has 58. The third has 38. So we want to, part of what we're here for is the main reason we're here is to pass a bill to change the behavior of these egregious and repeat speeders. And that's what Delegate Valderrama's bill is all about. So we want to make it unaffordable. We want to hit these people in their pockets, in their purses, and their wallets. So finally, I urge you to support a bill PG 306-24. It used to be PG MC 102-24, but it's now PG 306-24. It targets only the most dangerous super speeders and repeat speeders. 3 signs tell you there is a speed camera ahead. The last sign gives you your speed. Lawful drivers are unaffected by this bill as they obey the law and do not speed. And if you get the handout, there, the last page, actually the second last page, shows you the fine structure of the bill. It shows you how fines increase as speed increases, and it shows you how extra fines increase as a speeder repeatedly speeds. The last page is QR codes to get hard copies of the briefings and the remarks and videos that the 210 Traffic Safety Committees put online. Thank you very much. Okay. Reverend Skip.
We want to thank you, Ron, and yes, just want to thank, yeah, we can loosen up a little bit in here. It's about as tight as the water could be. So, yes, yeah, I mean, we have some very distinguished speakers here. We want to recognize them and applause, but we also just want you to be human. We want you to absorb the information here because this is important information, but we want you not to be so wound up and tight that we don't hear one another. Amen? Okay. I'm going to introduce now the author of the bill we have been speaking about here just a moment ago, and just give this lady, please, a round of applause. She's come from halfway across the world to be here at this time, and I mean that literally, to make sure that she be here with us to give her presentation of this bill. So I would like for you, if you wouldn't mind, just give a round of applause for Ms. Valderrama. Ms. Valderrama, you have the floor.
Okay, this is for the media, and this is for all of you. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And he was not lying about coming halfway around the world, but I was not going to miss this. And to be fair, I was supposed to come back today anyway. So, having said that, on a more serious note, before I begin, I just want to acknowledge the Route 210 Safety Committee, the Travel Committee, Mr. Sang, our County Executive, Angela Alsobrooks, Councilman Calvin Hawkins, and my district mate, Delegate Jamila Woods. With that said, you've heard the statistics and the information that has been given today. This is not the first time that this legislation has been presented in Annapolis. For those of you who know me and have been working with me, I've been working with this wonderful group of citizens here for the last, I want to say, 5-6 years. So that gives you an idea. They mentioned that the county executive had made her remarks, and that was 4 years ago. So this issue is not a minor issue, especially for those of you who reside here in this portion of the county, but everyone uses Route 210. And the fact that we have a state highway that is known as the highway of death is obviously not something we would like in our backyards. Thank you to each and every one of you for joining us today. I know a lot of you are repeaters, but it's good to see new faces. This issue needs to be shared amongst the constituency, not just in District 26, but Charles County and everyone that uses this thoroughfare. I'm pretty sure everyone has used it at least one time in their lives. I do want to mention that the absence of Senator Muse and Delegate Turner, they do support this issue. We stand together as the D26 team. We speak as one voice on this issue. And having said that, Senator Muse is the cross-file and the Senate sponsor of this bill in the local delegation. Many of you know there's been a small band of citizens who I mentioned, the Route 10 Committee, who have devoted numerous untold hours trying to make Route 210 a safer road for all of us to travel. All of us use it, and many of them are here today, and you've already met two of them, Mr. Ron Weiss and Dr. Robert Screen, who have been tremendous leaders of the Route 210 Safety Committee from the start. They are the ones, specifically Mr. Weiss, who had reached out to me some years ago asking me if I would consider submitting legislation on speed cameras. And we literally, going back to that day, initially laughed about it because people just seem to think it's a revenue generator. And all I simply say is, yes, it generates revenue, but if you don't want to pay the ticket, slow down. That's it. Just don't drive fast. That's very simple. So with that said, one of the issues with our current speed camera system is that the civil penalties for any violation is only limited to $40, which is not enough of a disincentive to slow motorists down, as is evident by the large number of recidivist offenders on Route 210. I will say when this legislation was submitted this past session in January of 2023, this legislation, an additional piece of legislation which I submitted, which was for additional speed cameras due to the fact that the construction zone cameras were taken down, so that reduced our number of cameras, especially due to the overpass construction for Kirby Parkway. So that bill passed tremendously, and as far as I know, or knew, both bills were moving further along, because I don't just submit a bill, I follow its progress. And next thing you knew, we were on the floor, and this bill was not even brought up. So for those of you who come to Annapolis, we all know how it works up there with good intentions and all. Having said that, I encourage everyone here, since you took the time out of your busy schedules to be present for this press conference, to please make your presence known in Annapolis this upcoming session, which begins in 3 weeks, which I can't believe. Having said that, the drivers, the recidivist drivers, they're given the same penalty, whether they're going 15 miles over the speed limit or whether they're going 90 over the speed limit. So moreover, the current $40 fine, it has not kept up with the cost of living. It was instituted over almost 2 decades ago, 18 years ago to be exact, with no penalty for non-payment, leading many motorists to simply ignore the posted signs repeatedly. You've heard the speeds, 150, 170. I personally don't even know what vehicle can do those speeds, but especially on 210, and I definitely don't want to be witness to it. I'm sure none of you as well. So the bill that I am reintroducing this year is PG 30624, the Speed Camera Indian Head Highway legislation, which will increase speeding fines so that they mirror, and I want to emphasize mirror, tickets that are given by an actual police officer during a traffic stop. For those who don't know, Maryland 210 is a state highway, but is not patrolled by the troopers. And given our law enforcement and the shortage of staff, there's only so much that we can do with our officers to be on the road. What you may not know is that Charles County, they do have their law enforcement police officers monitoring their share of 210. I don't know what the discrepancy is, but I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of that. So with that said, this bill that I seek to introduce along with my district mates, Senator Muse, Delegate Woods, and Delegate Turner, these minor violations the minor violations will receive lower fines, while more serious violations will receive higher fines. And that is the fundamental principle in our criminal justice system, whether you are dealing with speeding, and as was mentioned earlier, theft or murder. So under our system, the more serious the violation, the larger the sanction, which I would assume everyone here agrees. So these new enhanced fines will also provide parity with violators on the Charles County portion of Route 210 who do not have speed cameras and are only subject to the enhanced fines given during a traffic stop. So we believe that these enhanced penalties are one reason there are fewer speeders on the Charles County portion of Route 210. So in the months ahead, you will hear arguments during this legislative session that the speed cameras in our county, in Prince George's County, amount to a commuter tax on those commuting to the DC area from Charles, St. Mary's, and counties beyond. I think we can all agree it is not a commuter tax. It is a citation for those who offend. We recognize that 210 is a major commuter route, but it's a choice. It's a choice. No one gets a ticket when they abide by the law and obey the posted speed limit, and the usual appeal procedures apply to both officer and speed camera issued fines. So finally, it is my hope, our hope, all of us here, that this message, our message today, will resonate and remind motorists wherever you travel that speeding kills, especially when it's affiliated with alcohol. And, as recent as you all know, we passed recreational marijuana, which you are not supposed to be doing while you drive, but it's happening, unfortunately. So this type of usage is particularly common and dangerous this time of year. As we all know, we're approaching the holiday season. Happy holidays to all of you. But with that, I urge you again to please share this message with your neighbors, your family, your friends, your loved ones, to please be present, not just here in Annapolis, whether it's online, virtual, call my office. We are here to help so that it's not just us on the House and Senate floor pleading for this legislation. They need to know, and I'm so proud that we have our county administration, local and the county and state and law enforcement that are here to show that we are one. I would like to mention that Governor Wes Moore and his administration is very well aware of this legislation. There have been ongoing conversations and hope we can work on this together. As you may or may not know, he has recently shown his support for intensified penalties for those sites, construction sites, with speed camera legislation. So we are hoping that and this, there's a way that we can mediate and negotiate and have the administration, state administration support as well. So with that, I thank you very much for your time, and I urge you to please show your support. Thank you so much.
We want to thank you, Delegate Valderrama. I just have to back up a little bit because I made a major mistake here without introducing our guests, our speakers here, but I want to back up to that because I think it's very important to know who's here actually advocating this cause. We have, as you already have known, Delegate Valderrama, who's just spoken, please, if you don't mind. We have Delegate Jamala Woods, 26th District as well. We have an esteemed guest here, our county exec, Angela Alsobrooks, here with us. We have our at-large councilperson, Mr. Calvin Hawkins, who has a huge hand in this affair here today. To my left, we have our president of the NAACP Prince George's County chapter, Ms. Linda Thornton Thomas. To her left, we have Pastor Lincoln Burris of the Central Baptist Church in Temple Hills, who's also leading up a coalition of 30 other pastors in Temple Hills as well. We have Mr. John Singh of the Maryland Coalition of Roadway Safety. And of course, you've met also Mr. Ron Weiss, who's part of the 210 Traffic Safety Committee. We want to go now to every bill, everything that we try to do in large measure, we always have to have supporters. And we have a supporter here today for the legislation in a big way, Ms. Jamala Woods, who's going to speak again from her perspective. And this is what this is all about, each one giving their perspective of support for this long overdue bill, the one that needs all the support we can get. But I'm going to turn it right over to you, Delegate Woods, and have you go and teach us what you have to say. Amen? Give a round of applause, please.
Good afternoon. Very interesting thing happened as I was en route today. I found myself stuck in traffic with a bunch of other people. And as I looked up, I saw in my mirror a car flying on the shoulder. And I said, oh my God. And within 2 seconds, I witnessed a terrible car accident. That just happened on my way here. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, I'm talking on the phone with my chief of staff, and I'm like, I can't believe this, that I just witnessed this. I look up in my rearview mirror, and I witnessed another car accident. Did I mention that was on my way here? We're here today because we have to come to the conclusion that we must work together as a people to hold those persons accountable who have no respect of the laws. And if you have no respect of the laws, you have no respect of life. You can't say, I didn't mean to do that, when you willfully and intentionally violated the law. Whether or not there's a life lost, People must be held accountable. And so I don't want to reiterate everything that's been said to you today, but I do want to ask, because all of us have to be a part of this. All of us have to play a role. We need you in Annapolis. We need you to come and testify. It may be for hours. I don't know about you. I lost a son very unexpectedly 2 years ago. And I would have testified for 25 hours if something that I could have said or done would have helped to save his life. $40 is not worth a life. $40 times 100 is not worth the lives that have been lost. And so my plea to you is that we all make it our business. Because in the end, if we do nothing until it comes up in our driveway, until it pulls up in our garage, then we are as much a part of the problem. I'm not saying that to be negative, because you're here. The fact that you're here says that you're interested. But I am asking, I'm pleading. You have our county executive, we have county council representatives, we have state legislators, we have clergy. We are all. We have SCLC in the audience. We have the police department, who's been working very hard, and I have to say that, who's been working very hard in assisting in this matter. Give them a hand, because they've been doing their part, and we have to say thank you. Thank you. But listen, you know, there's a saying that says, if you see something, say something. I want to say, if you see something, say something, be something. Make a difference. Help us. We can all do this. We can change this. We can get this legislation passed. But we need every single one of you. The fact that you're here lets us know that you want to help. I'm tired of seeing accidents. I'm tired of praying over families that have lost loved ones. I'm tired of the excuses that people make. People must be held accountable for these egregious behaviors. They can't be a little slap on the wrist over and over and over again if it ever happens. Now is the time to put an end to this. I don't know about you, but it's been far too long for me. Let's make this difference.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. To show you the importance of this bill, our next speaker, by her very presence being here, is really showing the level of concern that this Prince George's County government has, for the individuals have, and in particular for what she has. I want to introduce next to our speaker podium here, the county executive, Angela Alston-Brooks, and I want to just say, I want to thank her for taking her time. We know this is the lady that's moving for the Senate seat. Amen? Amen? Amen. But she took her time for this occasion. She took her time because she knows it's important. And so I want us to please give her the rounding respect for what she's doing. I know she's supporting this, she's for this, and by your applause, you're supporting her. Amen? So, County Executive Angela Alston-Brooks.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. To Reverend Screen, I want to thank him so much for his leadership, and to say I certainly don't deserve any special acknowledgement for being here among my neighbors. I am your county executive, but I am, above all else, I'm your neighbor, and I'm a mother of a daughter. And, you know, you heard, I think it was Mr. Weiss who spoke about the press conference we hosted in January of 2019, and that was exactly 1 year to the day of my having been sworn in as county executive. And I think we can remember, I can't even believe how many years have passed since that time, but what we can remember is the excruciating pain that all of us felt upon hearing, and I still feel that same feeling today. Can you imagine what you would feel if the calendar turned, it was December 30th, 2018, when this beautiful couple were driving along with their three precious babies in the backseat of their car. 5-year-old twins, Rosalie and her brother, as well as their baby 1-year-old brother, Isaac Mejia. And can you imagine if when you stopped that car, all 3 of your children were dead? And that was what we are here talking about, is we have heard and seen this happen far too often. That couple had to turn the calendar and recognize that all 3 of their kids were gone. So this is not about numbers. I know we've heard them today, and they are astonishing and shocking and enraging every time we think that someone could have so much disregard for us as a community that they would fly by us at 170 miles per hour. The truth of it is no one has the right to do that on our roads. They don't have the right to do it. And so what we're talking about today is what we were unfortunately talking about at that time, and it is lives. That's what we're talking about. Our loved ones, the people we love, who are in danger on a road because of the decision that people are making. They could make a different decision. They could make a different decision. So I want to just acknowledge the hard work and commitment of the 210 Traffic Safety Committee. Yes, thank them. To Reverend Robert Screen, to Reverend Tierney Screen, to Ron Weiss, Pastor Bynum, Tamara Davis Brown, Sandra Hall, and Herb Jones for being the kind of neighbors who take an active part in changing your community. You know, it is the case that you could just talk about it or you could do something about it. I'd also like to thank this District 26 team in particular for their dedication to making our county roads safer for travel. In his absence, Senator Anthony Muse. I'd like to also thank again Delegate Valderrama. Of course, they did pique our interest. We want to know where in the world she was, that she came here overnight from somewhere far away. But want to thank her, want to thank also.
Taking care of family like she's taking care of us.
All right. Sounded amazing. You know, it sounded like she was somewhere beautiful. Veronica Turner and Delegate Jamila Woods, want to thank you so much as well for your efforts on behalf of our county and on behalf of our residents. I'd like to thank the Prince George's County Council, represented here today by Council Member, People's Champion, Calvin Hawkins. Want to thank in his absence, Council Member Ed Burrows. I'd like to also thank Prince George's County President, NAACP President, Linda Thornton Thomas, for carrying on the legacy. 114 years after the founding of that organization, want to thank her for carrying on the legacy. Reverend Burris, want to thank him as well for being here today. And I think I missed one person here whose name I don't have, but I do want to just thank them. Uh-oh. Do I? Okay, there we are. I want to just thank all of them and want to thank all of you. We are in the Christmas holiday when you could be gathered here today somewhere shopping or doing other things, preparing for the holiday, but it is out of love that you are here today to ensure that none of our neighbors, friends, and family members have to endure the pain and hardship of injury, of loss, and devastation. And so I could not be in any stronger support of this legislation, which is critical legislation. I will certainly be there to support it. Oh, I think it's just the microphone is just gone out. Should I use one of these? Okay, there we go. So I will certainly be there in person to support this legislation. But I think you've heard a point today that is worth repeating. Your presence really does matter. If we want to see it pass, you have to show up. That's really the bottom line, is that, you know, our delegation can be there to argue and to try to persuade their colleagues to pass this legislation. But if it's important, and it is important to all of us, you have to show up and have to voice your support as well. And again, I will repeat what I said here almost 5 years ago. And it is the case that I don't care what we legislate until we change the hearts of people, convince our neighbors and friends that our lives matter and that you don't have the right to travel on our roadways in a way that presents a danger to other people, until we realize that we do have to care for each other, and that the only change that really comes is the one that the community makes. And so we have to decide that this is important, and we do so by holding people accountable. When you have a consequence for your action, it really does matter. Maybe the $40 didn't get it, but it looks like the delegation said we're going to up the ante and come back with a little higher fine, and we'll keep doing that until we change the way people behave on our roads. So thank you so much again for your leadership to our delegation and the other community leaders who have come out today. I know that we were reminded by Reverend Screen that this is a happy time also, and so I want to say very personally to all of you that I hope you have an absolutely amazing holiday season. Hope that God will bless all of you and your families, and that God will continue to bless our beautiful county. So thank you so much.
We thank you for those insightful words that are really touching the heart, but also just, I think, enlightening all of us in terms of the gravity, the scope, the depth of what we're trying to do. It's not easy changing behavior. It's not easy changing behavior. I say that in many regards, but I kind of look at it, it's all a measure of the character that what we're supposed to have. We get behind the wheel. We know when we went to go get that license, there are certain parameters we had to adhere to. We didn't speed on that day when we had the examiner in the car. We knew we had to keep it at the speed limit, right? We knew we didn't have to run the stop sign when we were with the examiner. So this is not about education. This is about willfulness of behavior. And I look at it from this perspective, and I'll be short in this. Just think if you had an employee that you left at your store with an open till, and you left to go home, but you leave this employee there with an open till with a whole lot of money in it, okay? And you expect for them, just on the character of their personal restraint, what they're about, what kind of integrity they have. You leave them there with the till and the key to the till, with all that cash in there. When I look at what happens when people are speeding, every day they do that, they're taking a huge chunk of money out of that till. Your and my money. And you may say, well, where's your and my money? Do you realize that your insurance rates go up, car insurance, every time somebody else has an accident? I used to write insurance when I was in school. I know that's what they do. Because you live in the vicinity where there's a lot of accidents, a lot of fatalities, you are going to pay. We all are going to pay. So more money is taken out of that too. You turn your back. Even though the speedometer may say 140 miles an hour, what you're supposed to do is 55. What we all are supposed to do is 55. That's character. That's character. That's nothing less than character. It's having personal strength, having the ability to do, but not, because it's a measure of character. So I'm going to leave that alone and let that fester with us. But I want to go to the next speaker. This gentleman, our at-large councilman, with Calvin Hawkins, I just want to say that none of this would be possible without him. He put his backbone into this because it's important. He knew that the stakes were high in terms of getting this bill passed. He leaned into it and made possible this facility, everything that we're doing here today. And so I want to give him the proper recognition for what he deserves, because Calvin Hawkins has done a great job in bringing us here. And I know he has some insightful words for us as well, on top of everything else. So, Calvin Hawkins, your words.
Thank you, Reverend Screen. You don't even have to go anywhere. As I shared, every time we came to a Maryland 210 Traffic Safety Committee meeting, if it were not for our county executive ensuring that her team showed up, that's the police chief and his team, Chief Aziz, our fire chief, Tiffany Green, and her team, the revenue authority. And I want you all, if you don't know it, just give a hand to these government officials and Angela England, who ensured that we had this place every time we wanted to have a meeting. Those are collaborations that are a result of what's happening along 210. Rev, what you all are doing along 210, you're changing how we do things. Delegate, you had to be sensitive, and I'm gonna stay sensitive about your reference to Annapolis. But we need to let those in Charles County that stand in the way of your legislation to know, people to people, citizen to citizen, we're coming to Charles County to get the support we need to ensure that your bill is passed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Words hitting the mark, words that are right on point. And I thank you, sir, because really, literally, Mr. Hawkins is the one who made all this possible. So we want to really just give him the deserving accolades that he deserves, and then some. Thank you so much. To my left, I have someone else who's very special. Miss Linda Thornton Thomas, who's the president of the NAACP, not just in terms of her position and title, but because she is a caring person. She gets on the calls. We have calls every third Monday of the month. We've been doing it for the last 6 years. Ms. Thornton is on there diligently, giving words of advice, being there to absorb the information. So, you know, without a doubt, I wanted her to have some words of her insight, her perspective of how she can add to the supporting measure of this bill being passed. But here again, let's give a round of applause for Ms. Linda Thornton Thomas, President of NAACP.
Thank you, Reverend Sweeney. I have a tendency to talk too long, so you only told me 2 minutes, all right? And that's because this, to me, is an important issue. And I want to thank all of you who have been working so hard, and also to thank Chris Valorama for pushing this, because we started this a long time ago. And it's a shame. We have Cynthia Jones, who is actually a part of our NAACP, Josephine, and Chief Aziz, who has done some great things as well. So they all deserve a handshake for the good work that they're doing. I just wanted to say a couple of things, because I know our time is running short. But I don't know about you, but I love living, because I don't know what's on the other side, okay? And I am so disappointed when I ride up and down 210, because I have to go that way a lot. And I have gotten to the point where cars have passed me so quickly that I almost went blank, blank, blank. You know what I mean? And it's frightening. So all I'm saying is that my comments are mostly to the legislators. Why this did not pass last time, I do not know why. I am all for prices going up. If you're not following the law, and that's what we're all here about. We want lawful people doing the right things, helping our community. And if you can't follow the guidelines or the speed limit, I'm, encouraged to even double what they're saying. But I mean, I didn't have, I'm all for that, because, and many of them I hear are senior citizens. Now, I don't call them seniors, we're calling them elders, because I'm senior, so now elders is a better word. But however, what I am saying is that if you are 75, 85, or 25, use common sense. It's all about us. I have 9 grandchildren. I do not want them to pass away for something ignorant as somebody rushing because they didn't get their second cup of coffee. You know what I mean? That is not a good thing. And I'm encouraging each and every one of you to come out in Annapolis, because we're going to be there. We're going to be fighting for this. And we're going to call those people out when they are not supporting this bill. Because just because you're late or you don't want to start on time, that's your business. But you can't harm us, in doing that. And so I do want to also thank Reverend Screen for the work that they're doing, because I don't know about you, you may not know this, but most of us working in nonprofits, we don't get any money. No gas, no nothing. Sometimes people call us names that's not on our birth certificate. I can go through the whole thing, and we try really hard to help, but be honest, it is a job. And without your support, we can't move anything. We have got to have you coming out to Annapolis, or you can do Zoom. We're still doing that, correct? Yeah, so you'll get a chance to chit-chat. And you need to let I think you should let all of your legislators know that if they're not doing that work, you need to go to them and ask them. You need to visit their office. You need to call them on the phone. You need to say to them, I'm going to speak, out about this, because I need you to know that this is important. I don't care where you live or what you do, and Reverend Screen also shared with you, our insurances are going up because of this. So we're losing money anyway. So that being the case, why not pass this bill? And I do want to also share with you as well, my last thought, I'm stopping a minute, all right, it's because, there are so many bills that are out in Annapolis. And I applaud Jamila because she came in the first time and she was just rolling, boy. I mean, tell you, she put a lot of bills in. They don't all get passed. You know why? Because there's so many of them. And so for us to stand here and have to waste our time telling people that this is an important bill that we should have gotten passed last year is ridiculous. There's no reason for it, because there are other things that, our delegation can do and other things that Angela can do, as well as Calvin. And Calvin, I like your green suit, just want to make sure you know that. But, and so we are pushing, for good things to happen. But my concern, again, is that we don't get you to come out. We need you to come out. It's important that you do that. So I want to thank you all for coming out. I appreciate your support. Keep us in mind. Think about Annapolis. Take time, ride with some friends, go up, voice your opinion, and I promise you it'll work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Such words of wisdom, words of insightfulness. I want to thank you so much for that. Because of people sometimes that you may not know, they come upon you in just peculiar ways, how the Lord just does things. This next gentleman came to me by way of Miss Liz Chambers, and I want to point out just how things sometimes work out in a way that the Lord's in the midst of it. But she gave me a person's name that she said, I'd known about him, but I never knew him personally. And she said, this person is very interested in what you're doing. You need to have them to be a part of what you're doing here in this press conference. And so she gave me the name of Pastor Lincoln Burris, who is the pastor of Central Baptist Church, who's also the pastor of a coalition of pastors of 30 or more. And so what he told me was that he wants to be a part of this. He wants to get the word spread amongst the other pastors to be a part of this. Who can deny that? We want to make sure that we give this man a round of applause, acknowledge him for his passion for this. He's in the business of saving lives in the spirit, as well as in our frame of our temples as we have here in life. So we want to give him a round of applause and acknowledgement of him and the words he has to say for us to give us some insight from our pastor's perspective. Thank you. Pastor Lincoln Burris.
Thank you, Dr. Screen, to all our elected officials. Good to see you all. It's not about money. It's not even about politics. It's about life. Can you imagine there are 91 families this Christmas season that won't have their loved ones at the table? It's not about the money. It's not about politics. It's about life. Can I make it plain and simple for a moment? We have senior citizens, or elderly senior, whatever you want to call it, up and down 210. We have schools, seasoned citizens, amen. Correct me. Seasoned up and down 210. Can you imagine your mama or your grandmama trying to pull out on 210? Can you imagine your child learning how to drive on 210? We got to do better. We got to do better. Can I just give y'all an excerpt from Sunday morning service? Amen. If y'all don't mind for a moment. The title was Use Your Voice. We need to use our voice, because after talking to Dr. Screen, I made some phone calls to some other pastors, and they had no clue. Now they know. On this coming Sunday and the Sundays to follow, that petition that you all see, scan code, or we going to load that petition up with some names. As a matter of fact, we've already reached down in Charles County, and we've already started talking to our brothers and sisters in Charles County. And can I put on my other hat for a moment? I'm also part of the Progressive National Baptist Convention. Amen. We have a state of Maryland convention. It is not just going to be Prince George's and also Charles County. It's going to be the state of Maryland. So we're calling all of our elected officials, and we're going to tell our people to use your voice, make a change, make a difference, save a life.
Amen. Thank you so much. Amen to that. I think we can all say amen to that. This is what we need. When we get our passion in it, that's what brings the conversion. When we get our passion, we get our blood boiling, we get ourselves emotionally tied into this. Just a moment on this before I get to our next speaker. For 5 years, I was a chaplain down here at the local hospital, which at that time was Fort Washington Hospital. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's a small hospital. It's a very small hospital. When you have someone come in as a result of a loss of this type, of an accident, The piercing screams, it reverberates throughout the whole hospital. The people in the front, the registration desk, they can hear it. People horsing back in the room where the departed is, they can hear it. It's something, okay. It's something that gets in your bone marrow, you know, and it doesn't leave. It doesn't leave. And the reason, I mean, we know we have an assigned time we're going to be here. But nobody has the right to take you out early. Nobody has the right to do something foolish that does not have to be that way by a decision to do what's being done and take somebody out early. I know one thing that I, this year actually, when we were in the General Assembly, and I know a lot of things, just the way the world is, it moves by data points, you know, data this, data that, statistic this, that, you know, give me the numbers. When we were promoting the bills that we failed, unfortunately, this time around, the one we're trying to promote now, along with the other speed, numbers of cameras, the speed cameras, I decided to do something different other than just give data points. I decided to read the names of those who perished last year. It got as still as a pin dropping on cotton. Sometimes we just have to get back to our humanity, because who's being lost are mothers and fathers, or daughters and sons, aunts and uncles, human beings, people who are in our life one day and the next they're gone. That's what we have to touch, just as it's getting quiet right now, because it hits the heart, it hits the mark. And that's what really makes conversion, makes conviction, it makes a change. So we have to do more of that. The data points are good. I mean, I understand all about informing people by data and this, that, and the other statistics. But it all leads back to us as human beings. That's what it's all about. And please don't let the data points obscure our humanity. Do not let it wash away that we are just human beings, flesh and blood. And we want to stay here as long as we can with our family members, our loved ones, and not let foolishness, bad decisions, you know, obscure that timeline. Amen? Amen. This next gentleman is, he's more than just a person that you see on the program, Mr. John Singh, who is head of the Maryland Coalition of Roadway Safety and Traffic. He's become a friend because he's one of those people that I just talked about, a passionate person about road traffic safety. He lives in Montgomery County. He came down here to be a part of this. Myself and Ron Weiss are part of the larger group of what he has put together in his nonprofit about traffic safety for the state of Maryland, So John has a bigger scope in what he's looking at, but it's all, the bigger scope is made up of the smaller scopes, Indian Head Highway and all the other roads that make up the big state of Maryland. So I want us to listen to him, give him a round of applause, because he's doing work out of his own passion, out of his own means, out of his own desire, and he's doing some effective work. So let us give a round of applause to Mr. John Singh, Maryland Coalition of Roadway Safety.
Thank you, Reverend Screen, for your leadership and inspiration and all the work that you've done. It's been a learning lesson for me. I'm a Roman Catholic. I'm not in my script. I'm a Roman Catholic, but I'm finding every time we meet, I'm finding new religion. So I think that's a good thing, building upon. So I know I'm the only person standing between you and maybe that doorway there. So I'll try to be succinct, which I know scares people too. But so thank you to all of you who are here. I'm not a politician, so I'm not good at naming the names and everything else. And also being from Montgomery County, forgive me. So, but I am passionate about roadway safety in Maryland. I just had a new grandson born yesterday, 5th of 5 grandchildren. Thank you. Thank you. That's a loud applause. But I've told Reverend Screen, I don't care about me. I've had a good life. I've been privileged, you name it. But I care about these 5 little children that don't even come up to the height of this red table in front of me. I deeply, deeply care about them. So newsflash, this morning's Maryland death toll for 2023 thus far, 593 people. More than 8% higher than last year to date. So it's not off, not some rounding error or something like that. Why is Maryland going up 8% when the rest of our country saw a greater than 3% decline in the first half of the year? So we got a tiny state, but we're messing up pretty badly. Now, Governor Moore, who I admire greatly, he's made it part of his mantra when I first saw it, leave no one behind. You know what I'm talking about. And I said to myself when I first saw that, the first thing I said was, I wonder what that means. But now I know what it means to me, and we've had a great reception with Governor Moore's office. Reverend Screen and I and a number of other Maryland road safety advocates met with his people. All we asked the governor is to merely place this at the top of his agenda. Like what's more important? So they've done that in a number of ways, and I'm not going to take up time, but we've seen a terrific response for Governor Moore's office. So the angle I'd like to take, which I think supports what other folks have shared this afternoon, is these are all people, all these 593 are estimated estimated 615 that will die before New Year's Eve, or by New Year's Eve. Another 11 will die. They're going to wake up in the morning thinking they're going to see tomorrow, and they're not going to see tomorrow. So that's 18 people in the state of Maryland will not be able to, live through the day or see the next day. And these are real people, women, infants, children, adults, indiscriminate. And it upsets me greatly, and I think it upsets everyone here in this room. So we have people in this room who can testify to the real pain, and I've taken it to heart. Our board member, Kenneth Henry, I think is in the room. Kenneth raised her hand back here. She's told me, and the indescribable pain, the suffering, the agony that never diminishes, it never goes away. Kenneth has told me, and I believe her, when she says, John, every day it's like it just happened the same day, or the day before. It never goes away. And that is a pain I don't understand. I don't pretend to understand it, but I know sure as heck, I don't want that pain for me or my family or my friends. So let me add another wrinkle to this to show you what a farce the $40 fine is on Indian Head Highway, Route 210. I did a little comparison because I'm like a PR guy. That was my job all my career before I retired to really get down to business here. So I looked around, and the Maryland Department of the Environment litter control law, I'm quoting, because Maryland believes in being good stewards of its resources, our litter control laws range from a $1,500 fine, possible 30 days in prison, to a $30,000 fine with possible 5 years in prison, right? So the junk I'm going to throw out my window driving up Route 210 is going to cost me more than if I drive 150 miles an hour. It makes no sense. These are state laws. But it gets better. Don't go anywhere, it gets better. State of Maryland property crime punishments, if I steal between $100 and $1,000 worth of any type of items from a store or wherever, they're misdemeanors, but they receive a $500 fine and no more than 18 months in jail. And get this, theft of property valued at less than $100 brings a $500 fine in a term of 90 days. So less than $100 gets me potentially 90 days in jail, but not driving 150 miles an hour from Indian Head up to Washington, D.C. It's ridiculous. So we need to start valuing lives in the ways that cost us, but compared to the laws that are currently on Maryland books, it's not a joke, it's not too low, it's a slap in the face. That my new grandson, born yesterday, his life isn't worth some junk that people are caught dumping in an alley somewhere. So let me say a word or two about Charles County. Charles County doesn't have anything on Prince George's County in terms of roadway safety, because we care about all 20-something counties in the state of Maryland. Yes, it has a much lower population than Prince George's and a much lower traffic death toll, but they are even per capita. So Charles County is not a safer place to drive than Prince George's County. They have nothing to say when they drive from Charles County on Indian Head Highway, Route 210, going north or south, going back home, they can't claim to a safer experience driving around in Charles County. It's a fact. So it's a time they join the rest of the crowd here in terms of putting roadway safety first and where they live. So I think, the main goal here is for me, statewide, and for our coalition members, others who are here, Reverend Screen, Ron Weiss, and John Becker in the back, as well as Kenneth Henry, drive the speed limit. You can do it. I'm here to tell you, you can actually drive no faster than the speed limit and live to have a better chance of living to tell that story the next day. And because I might look stupid, but I'm not completely stupid, but we decided to come up with bumper stickers that say tailgating is dangerous, because when you drive the speed limit, you're going to be tailgated. I guarantee you that. So we've got these stickers out. Take as many as you want, and we'll print more of them up as we need them. Encourage your state and county governments to ask their employees to come up with programs to print their own bumper stickers. We'll be visiting with Ms. Albrook's office and other state counties, as well as the state government, to have them require their employees who drive state or county vehicles respectively, put bumper stickers on, this vehicle does not drive faster than the speed limit. Because if we're sitting here saying that, this is dangerous or the fine should increase, we need to own it with a capital O. And I'm going on the record here as asking Prince George's County, who's a convenient, witness and audience here, to own it, as we've asked the governor more, and we've asked also in the Montgomery County Council. So that's my message. Thank you for having me here today, and I appreciate all of you and your support for this bill, PG 30624. It's a winner to save lives. Thank you.
School bus drivers too.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, especially school bus drivers. I want to take time, I promised I would do this. Senator Muse is not here, but he did give a statement that I just would like to read to our acknowledgement of his participation, but also his passion for this bill to pass, and just allow his words to speak for themselves. This is what Senator Muse has spoken and said. Fort Washington, Maryland, December 20th, 2023. Senator C. Anthony Muse joins Delegate Chris Valderrama in the 210 Traffic Safety Committee as they go back to Annapolis for the 2024 legislative session to strongly advocate to stop the deadly speeding on Indian Head Highway Route 210. The number one goal for 210 Traffic Safety Committee, the number one goal is to promote increased measures on Route 210 and to prevent another vehicular homicide. A total of 10 people were killed in traffic violence on Maryland 210 last year, and nearly 90 people have been killed on Maryland 210 since 2007. We had some success last year, however, it was not enough. Therefore, Senator Muse will advocate on the Senate side to make sure Delegate Valderrama's legislation, PGMC, it was 10224, now it's 30624 as we know, Prince George's County Speed Monitoring System, the Indian Head Highway, will pass the full Senate body. This legislation is necessary to stop repeat violators and those who are putting the constituency of Prince George's County and other drivers in danger of being injured or killed by driving at excessively high speeds. PG MC 30624 will warrant a high civil penalty to persons who drive 12 miles per hour over the speed limit. This legislation is a priority and necessary to deter speeding and will create a safer highway for our community. And so that's his words. We want to thank Senator Muse for those strong words. I'd like to, as we end this, before we get into questions and answers, just to acknowledge the people who have really been a part of putting a lot of this together, who have been a part of the committee for the last 6 years, been a part of the heart of the community and passion and conviction in trying to get everything that has to do with roadway safety acknowledged to make it better for all of us in this community, and that is the 210 Traffic Safety Committee. Each one of those individuals, I would like for you to stand so you can see them amongst you. They're all kind of spread through the building here, but I'd like for each one of you to see the Reverend Tierney Screen, my wife. She's way down in the back, she's waving her hands. Mr. Ron Weiss, as we know, is right here on my left. We got Pastor Stephanie Bynum, which is over here on my right side. We've got Mrs. Tamara Davis Brown, who's right here on the corner here on my left. We have Mrs. Sandra Hall, which is all the way in the corner in the back. We thank you, Miss Sandra. We got Mr. Herb Jones III. Herb, there he goes. And of course, yours truly, Reverend Dr. Robert L. Screen, Sr. We are here, and also Miss Jones here. Yes, we miss Miss Jones. We want to also recognize you as well. She's been in and out of the committee, but she's got a passionate thirst for doing things, and she's been with us throughout all the time that we've been in existence. So we want to thank you as well, Miss Jones. So we have come to the part here that we want to have a question and answer period for those of you who have questions. Hopefully we can give you the kind of answers that you're seeking in terms of where do we go from here? What's the next step? I can tell you from our perspective is to push this thing through. I believe the General Assembly starts January 10th, am I correct? Yes. And so with that being said, there's going to be some things we can be able to do before we get into session, and this is one of the things we had wanted to do, actually, to bring this measure, this bill, before the general public. I've been told that what we have here will be seen on the 5 o'clock news, so that's one good start for our, moving this forward. But also, we're going to do some things also after the holidays, before the 10th comes in, to give our delegate and delegates and the District 26 delegation the tools they need before they get into session to be able to push this thing through. Amen? This is what everyone has been saying. Let's pass this information on to others so they too can sign on the petition. They can too call their prospective legislators. They can too can do some things in Charles County as well as in this county. So opening it up to any questions and answers. I see some over here. Yes. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
First of all, I want to thank President of NAACP, Linda Thomas, for inviting me to this meeting. My name is Josephine Morning. I'm not the president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, for Prince George's County and the DMV. I understand that you're adding all of these fines, right? But do you really think that's going to work? Because when I think about what happened out there on 495 with that officer, that young man that hit that officer that lost both of his legs, that man had been cited so many times. He had gotten the tickets. He had been fined. It did not matter to him. He kept taunting the officer. So they said he was known to go well over 100 all the time. So I see these fines, but I'm wondering, are these fines really going to be a deterrent? Or do we need to, when we have a person that's a habitual speeder, maybe we need to take him off the street for a while. Yeah. Especially the second time, he need to come off the street, get some education, because there is such thing as mandatory classes that they have to, well, they did have it, I hope it's still out there, that people have to do when they're driving reckless like that. So, I mean, I see the fines, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. I really don't. Just saying.
I am
we need
glad,
to go further.
I'm glad you have asked that question. All right. Okay? Because I'm going to get right to the point. In our driving culture, we've got two types of people out here. We've got the law-abiding, and we have the lawless. Okay? The law-abiding people. This is what this fine structure is for. These are folks that from time to time will speed. Myself included. I have to pull myself back at times when you don't notice how fast the car is going down the hill. You got to pull yourself back. There's no perfect drivers out here. But here's the thing where this comes into play, this bill here. We're trying to work with the people who are on the edge, law-abiding. They push the accelerator a little bit too much sometimes. They're the people, actually, let me just give you some statistics. And this is all true, so you can take this to the bank and follow up with, my resources where I got this information. It is told by the State Highway Administration that Indian Head Highway has a daily amount of traffic of 80,000 people a day. 80,000 people a day ride on Indian Head Highway, okay? It is said that it's only 1% of those, okay, who are actually doing the damage, the egregious driver. Here's the thing. You might say, well, my gracious, why are you crying? You got 99% of the people, this, that, and the other. 1% of 80,000 is 800 people a day on a 14-mile span of roadway. The more condensed the area, the more apt it is to have tragedy when something happens. We've got a very condensed amount of road. We're not talking 301, 95, 81, all these long spans of road. That's why the fatality rate is something to take note of. It's only 14 miles. And so what this bill is about, there are no silver bullets in existence that if you do this, everything else gets eradicated. This is the piecemeal game. This is getting that slice of the pie that we can get control over. And that slice of the pie, if it brings down the fatality rate by 50%, 30%, whatever that is, that's a life that's living that would not be living had not it been for this legislation. Now, the lawless people, the ones that you're talking about, that's a whole nother scope that we have to deal with. This bill is not dealing with the lawless, the egregious people, the people who don't care. And we know that there are people who don't care. You can't go 170 miles per hour on a 55-mile-per-hour roadway and tell me you care about the people who are around you. But this is normal on this roadway. When I say that the mean average speed is 150 miles an hour, that's for the last 3 months. It was 155 the 3 months before then. It was 150 some other number, which I can't spit out exactly, before that 3-month period was over. So we have people amongst this 800 crowd. They'll take you out. And we know they're there. We have to incrementally go at this thing. This time, this bill, for me, next time, I want to get them off the road. I want a bill that we can say, okay, you do these kind of things in this uncaring fashion, you don't deserve to be out there. You're a danger to yourself as well as everybody else around it. That's me personally. Unfortunately, we have many people who don't like to think that way. The pastor will tell you, everybody ain't going to heaven down here on earth. Everybody don't want to do things to go to heaven. That's just a fact. So there's some people who are antisocial, anti-whatever in terms of their safety. This bill is not necessarily for that group. It's for the larger measure of those to be a deterrent so they won't push the edge. I got a doctor's office, I'm running late. Okay, you run late, be late, but be alive. Be late, but be alive, okay? Be late, but be alive for yourself and be alive for somebody else. Because see, it's a lot of times not what you do, it's what somebody else do that you didn't think they were going to do. And next thing you know, you got disaster that happens. So yes, I think there's another question. I don't know if that gets to the mark, but I hope it does. Hopefully it's.
Michael Leventhal, Accokeek. First off, I appreciate what you say, but I worry about the people who don't even bother to pay the $40 fine. And there needs to be in the bill some type of punitive measure, not another fine, mind you. It says that if you're not going to pay a fine, then you lose your license, you get points, your insurance company is told something. I mean, there are ways that we can deal with these people that isn't necessarily terribly punitive, but there needs to be a message to these folks, not just the fines that goes beyond that.
As I say again, and it's almost in the same response that I just said, this bill, we understand that those people, the ones that ain't paying fine, they probably still ain't gonna pay the fine. They're just gonna stack it up. They're just gonna stack up, the fine. So this is, look at this as a stair step moving higher with each rung of the ladder. Because unfortunately, Maryland, in my opinion, has a very liberal mindset when it comes to traffic safety. And I'm talking about the legislators. You go to Virginia, you try some of half the stuff you go over here, you in jail. Yes, I think I want,
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Leventhal. Judy, how are you? Happy holidays. I will just briefly say that when I initially put in these two bills several years ago, I will say we were trying to mimic District of Columbia and another state. So to be quite honest, we literally took exact language, submitted it in the interest of time, and just making sure we had as much language in there so that, because what happens is when it goes to the standing committee, which if none of you know, it's the Environment and Transportation Committee, which will then go to the subcommittee of transportation. What happens if you start with a large bill, you're able to work on it, well, the committee, because the bill then becomes the property of the committee. I can give suggestions, but I'm not on that committee or that subcommittee. So what you were suggesting in its original form a couple of years ago had language like that. But the fact that I couldn't even get it, speed cameras in and of itself, that was not going to happen with automatic jail time. I have no opposition to that. Delegate Woods and I were just discussing, the bill that's going in is not final. So what I will say is here, there are a group of folks, including the Reverend and Ron Weiss, Tamara Davis Brown, the committee, that will be working on the final. It's under it's our legislation, your legislation. So what we submit is not final, and we encourage the constituency to give additional language, and we will do our best to fight for it there. But what you suggested was, in its initial form, submitted initially.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Any other questions here? Yes, sir.
Thank you for allowing me to have a few words. My name is Jay Winter Nightwolf. For the last 30 years, I've been a radio and television broadcaster out of Washington, D.C., the only Native American that has ever done it. I have a very serious problem with these crazy people out here driving. I would say start the fines at $200. Yeah, I mean, seriously, get in their pockets. And the next level up is $400, all the way up. And if you get to the point that you find $800, something is wrong with you. You need to be off the road. Lock them up. Lock them up and don't even think about keeping the key. That'll get their attention. And the other thing too is, Christine, I love you. I was there, I met you a few weeks ago, and I support the bill and I support everything you do. And my sister here, my cousin by blood, is retired civil rights attorney Gloria Johnson. And she is the Women's League of Voters. She told me to tell you that she supports what you're doing.
Amen. Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
Now, there's one other thing I want to mention. We need to have a day to meet with the officials on the relationship between Native Americans in Prince George's County and the state of Maryland. Did you know right down the street from Harmony Hall is a place called Silesia? Did you know that Silesia was where they brought Africans in and enslaved them? Right down the street. I can give you so much history, but we don't have time for that. But I would like to thank you, Reverend, for allowing me to speak today. I love all of you, whether you know it or not, and I don't care whether you know it or not, but I love you anyway.
Amen.
Thank you for that.
I wanted to tell everyone, we will be working on an activity for Native American High too am a Native American. And I'm happy to say that my grandfather and grandmother. And so we haven't done enough, and I agree with you, we need to do more, yes.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Claudio Petri. I'm an old activist at 210 with Delegate Castella's dad, Gary Alexander, Mike Miller, in the late 70s. Many of you here that born yet. But anyway, why couldn't we hit them when it hurts? If they were clocked at 65 and above, get their license. You cannot walk. But it's fine. They pay 200, 500. But you get the main livelihood. Take their license away from them.
Yeah.
They'll slow down.
Okay.
The family has to live. And one thing more. I hope the bill will consider activists. We have, I saw the driver, 1,280,000. Every one of those has cell phone. They can record, like you said, while you're driving here, you saw an accident, take picture. Oh, the whole world uses this beautiful high tech to solve problems. So almost 13 million of us can help take pictures.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I heard you don't get no funding for what you're doing. I like to help. I can help.
Amen. 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 Thank you. Thank you so much. Any other? Yes, I think we have.
Thank you. At the risk of asking you to be a fortune teller, if this bill passes, and admittedly we're looking at something that for some of us it seems that the penalties are maybe not where they should be, but that might be something that passes. Am I clear about that? I mean, just that we're looking at lower levels of fines, and for certain people, then some of us might, excuse me for my next trick, I will, but if we want to have more legislation later, if it needs to be more robust in terms of penalties for what people are doing, if this passes, is it likely that would be it?
Is that your?
Yeah,
Yes.
do you feel
the
that
answer
sort
is
of?
no.
Okay.
So in my experience, and I've been there 17 years and plan to be there for quite a while, just putting that out there. Having said that, most legislation, if not 98.9% of these types of bills, where it's very contentious, I just want to remind, for those of you who are still left here, thank you for staying. I mentioned earlier that this bill goes to a standing committee. That committee becomes their property. That subcommittee that is bipartisan, Republicans, Democrats, Independent, what have you, we are not on that committee. So what we do is our best to get those from our delegation, the Prince George's County delegation, that is in support of this bill, to be our voice in those work sessions with the subcommittee. And what I was initially starting to say was that these bills, you have to put something in. Madam Chair of SCLC, President, I was giving you your due. Is that I totally understand where you're coming from, and what I would like to say is, without making it any less informal or what have you, is that we have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And because it's not us pushing the bill, it's a group of folks who don't even know the district. It's a combination, Eastern Shore folks, northern part of the state. We have everyone from everywhere who tries to work on crafting the best output. So, ma'am, to your question, this is not my first time where we put in a bill, cross our fingers it passes, and we come back the next year to improve or what have you. And so the speed camera bill that was initially put in 5 years ago, I have brought that bill back every year, either increasing the number of cameras or just fine tuning. So a great example of the negotiation that takes place, when the first speed camera bill was introduced, the funds that Reverend Screen mentioned, that was a product of the subcommittee that said, whatever fines are generated will go into an infrastructure fund for 210. So that's just an example. So no, it would not be locked in stone.
Thank you. I think you have another question? Yes, sir.
We am on your committee also. I had a question for Representative Valderrama. I know we talked about in our committee possibly having your Charles County colleagues come to our meeting. It looks like they didn't come this past Monday. Will you have an opportunity to talk to them between now and January 10th?
Absolutely. So I know there was invitations that were put out. You obviously cannot force someone to attend these types of activities. I can say the Charles County delegation I have a good relationship with. It's public knowledge. My current chairman is from Charles County, and he knows I grab his ear anytime I can, whether it's on legislation or what have you. So we encourage it. We've been told they're open to listening. This is where I repeat myself and say, that's what we need all of you for, to let the Charles County delegation, as far as I know, I don't want to say the entire Charles County delegation is in opposition, but there are certain folks that are, and we can take that offline if you want to have that discussion.
Yes, I think, is there, yes.
Not speaking about the bill, but I would like to discuss the cameras that's out on 210. I mean, it's quite obvious that everybody knows what those cameras are. Everybody slows down for those cameras, and then as soon as they clear the camera, they take off like they're on a racetrack. So how are we trying to work these cameras if we're trying to use something to deter? Because it only deters them for about 5 seconds until they clear the camera.
Yes. Okay.
I'll have Reverend Screen follow as well. I will say the legislation that was submitted, that I submitted on behalf of the D 2016, requested mobile cameras. So there was supposed to be either one or two that's supposed to rove around because of that exact issue that you said. That would have to be an issue that we'd have to clarify, enforcing it, basically, with the county. But it was put in as roving cameras because of that simple fact.
Just to further elaborate on that, the cameras, the ones that are there are mobily designed, they just haven't been moved. We're having we're in a transition period with the contractor right now. And a lot of the things that we should be doing, could be doing right now are in the midst of that transition to transition to a better state of being than what we have been in the past. I think once we get stability in the contractor issue, you're going to see these cameras moving. You're going to have cameras that are going to be much more efficient than what they are. Now see, here's where this thing is going. They're going to, these new cameras that are going to be coming, and they will be coming, they're going to be more efficient in terms of giving out citations. The same people who are not paying will be the same people who will probably not pay at all. This is why I'm saying you have the law-abiding and you have the lawless. The lawless are the ones we have to still craft legislation for. Think of this as this is a stair-step type of process to move from one level to the next level. This is not stopping here, but this is an important step to accelerate to the next level. This is a matter of faith right now. Understand, we see the same things you do. We have the same passions as you do. We want people to be off the road just like you do. But we have to go through people who don't see it our way. And unfortunately, they're pushing the button, pulling switches, and making decisions, and they don't live here. They don't live under the same constraints. But we still have to go through them, so we can't go through them with the big hammer right now. We got to have a tack hammer to get it through and then go up to the sledgehammer as we go further down the road. But so it's a process that I'm speaking about. This is not the end of the road. This is not, no, we're moving exactly where you want us to go, and because we all want the people off the road that don't belong there. But see, I'll give you an example. I mean, the zaniness is out here. But they caught, matter of fact, the speed camera didn't catch it, but it's about 3 years ago, I think it was, a gentleman who lost his license, riding down Indian Highway southbound. I think he was caught at going, and they only caught him because he got caught at a stoplight, 373, I think it was. This guy was going 100, I think they clocked him about 105, 110 miles an hour. Had 3 babies in the car. No license. No license. So they got him, but this is what's out here. This is what we're dealing with. Okay? So obviously this gentleman didn't care about himself. As a matter of fact, car seats should be for the kids. They didn't have none of them. They didn't even have seatbelts on. Well, I understand it. So, you got to understand we have a lot of lawless people who don't care. This bill is not designed for them as much as it is for the people on the borderline. Okay, but we have to start with, as Delegate Valderrama said, we have to start someplace, and we have to move and start changing minds a little bit at a time. As long as these people have the ability to have their finger on the switches and they don't care, the ones that's making decisions, we got to work, and this is what this is all about right here. Why we're doing something different than we've done the last 2 years. This is going to be broadcast on the news tonight. So some of them people who've been against this, they're going to be seeing this, and some of the people who live under their delegation and their jurisdiction, they're going to see this too. And some of them, maybe not a lot of them, but some of them are going to say, wait a minute, what's up with that? Why are you pushing against something that my child, because see, some of the Charles County school buses go on the Indian Highway before they go back into Charles County. And some of them are going to say, wait a minute, my child is on this area. What are you doing pushing against, something that's for safety? That's how we have to get at it, a little bit at a time. We have to get some of the small people to get to the bigger people to make the decisions. So that it's a change in strategy, but we have to go at it strategically, methodically, but definitely tenaciously. We're going at it, okay? So we haven't forgot any of this. We just understand we're at one rung of the ladder, and we're trying to get to the next one. And next year, this time next year, we're going to be thinking about that kind of thing, legislation you're talking about, to try to get that through. Okay, amen? Oh, Channel 4, 5 o'clock, I'm saying 5 and 6. Ms. Darcy Spencer has been with us for quite a bit of the, and also Channel 7 as well will have it. So, so look to see, it'll be on there. So we're being methodical, we're being strategic, we're being thoughtful, and we're being tenacious. All of that. This is not the end of the book. The book is still being written. A whole lot of blank pages still yet to be written in. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Yes, Andy?
What it takes, don't need that. What it takes is butts and seats. Just like you're sitting out here, get your neighbors. Bring your kids, bring your wife and your daughters, your husband. We need butts and seats to represent what we're doing. I can send a letter, okay, one person equates about 10 different letters.
Yeah.
Interest, show up, take the time. That's all they're asking to help us. Butts and seats.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Andy. Any other comments? Yes.
Just one other comment. If you didn't sign the petition coming in at the front desk, we would love for you to sign the petition. Also on that QR code that's in these handouts, you can share the QR code with your neighbors in order to get the petition signed. Yeah, it's on the last sheet that says resources. If you didn't get it, there are others I have it for you. If you didn't get it, raise your hand and I'll make sure I get it to you.
And just as a by the way, as you're looking at the paper there, the 210 Traffic Safety Committee, every third Monday of the month for the last 6 years, and we'll continue as long as the good Lord gives us strength and health and ability. We have a meeting at 7 o'clock. If you look at, if you can jot this down, Gmail, MD210 Traffic Safety Committee at gmail.com. You know, you can go on there, you can see the blogs, you can see, you know, what we have been doing, you can see the broadcasts that have been done in our favor, and you'll see information about our meeting. So we open that up to anyone who wants to be a part of us. You get all the information about the Zoom, you know, a link and all of that sort of thing. So be a part of us, be a voice, be participants. And we will get this thing through, but it's gonna have to be a we thing, not a me thing, to get it through. Amen? Okay. Any other questions or comments that anyone else has? Okay. We want to thank you. I want to thank, first of all, our presenters, our speakers. Let's give them a hand. Let's give them a round of applause. They've done a wonderful job. I want to thank this lady here because, I mean, she literally came from the other side of the plant to get here. I was, you know, being a former pilot, I know, you know, a little bit what she's going to have to go through. And I'm saying, oh boy. And then I think you probably came from the West. Did you come from California? You come in that way? I mean, I know, but I mean. Oh, yes. Okay. And that's what I was afraid of. I said, if you come from there, anyway. But anyway, she got here on time, and she was supposed to be at 12. I know it was demanded at 12, but she got here in time to be here. So we want to thank her, Ms. Brown. And listen, any of the cameras that we have, it's come from her. It's come from her. We had to get legislation passed to get the first camera. I think, what was it, 6 we were going for the first one back in 2018?
I think they asked for 9
9
or 10.
or 10?
No, it would not pass.
And we got one camera. And it was almost like a joke because the news media came and said, wait, you got all this problem. What are you going to do with one camera? Because that's what they gave us. But here's the key to that. We didn't give up with just one camera. We didn't give up. Because what happened the same year in 2018, when that camera was passed, the Majid, as what was told here, December 30th, 2018, 3 children got killed. And that was the motivation to get the other 2 cameras for the 3 that we have now. So we stuck in there, we hung in there, we continue to advocate, we continue to do the things we needed to do to get what we have right now. So I'm just asking you, don't give up, I mean, it's easy to get frustrated because I see the same things you see, but I know there's a process. And this is a process that we just have to take one step at a time. And if you'll stay with us, we'll get there. Amen? Amen. God bless each one of you. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. And above all, please be safe.